Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we cover Orioles and Ravens news weekly. I'm your host, Jared. And in this video, I'm going to do a quick analysis of the game that just ended between the Ravens and the Steelers. The game that was going to decide the AFC North. Whoever won would host Houston on the Monday Night Football next week. The Ravens today, I think to get this started, I think this epitomizes what the Ravens have been in the tenure with Lamar Jackson at points, especially when the moment gets rough. And I think that with the Ravens, struggling how they did, at points this game, they were winning 10-0, but then their offense got stale. Their play calling got really stale. The defense, obviously, Kyle Hamilton was lost, and the defense was atrocious. I think that and then Lamar had, not, I think, but I know Lamar Jackson had to put on the cape. This is the first time this season, probably since Buffalo, maybe. I can't even remember that Lamar Jackson said, you know what, I'm putting this cape on and we're going to try to win this game. And Lamar did everything he needed to do. Three straight drives that could have ended in scores. He gave us the lead 17-13. He gave us the lead 24-20, and should have gave us the lead or driven us to give us a lead at 24 to and win us the game at 27-26. I think that the Ravens, you know, they were crumbling. If this was a week 5 game, week 6 game, this would, I mean, we still would have lost, but we only would have put up like 10, 13 points and lost the game. Excuse me. Um, but Lamar Jackson recognized that this season was hanging by a thread at this point, and then put the cape on and did what he needed to do. Shout out to Isaiah Likely. Shout out to Zay Flowers, man. I get on him a lot on this show and this channel, but I mean, he balled out, very, amazingly today. He had two large touchdowns, you know, um, but again, even on the last drive, we have a stupid penalty from Ronnie Stanley that backs us up. If that doesn't back us up, maybe the field goal is shorter. I'll get to the field goal in a second, but you know, um, it's just certain things that are irritating about this team that I think that there just needs to be changes with this organization and how they run this stuff. And I think that the way they've been running it's coming to a full head stop. They may, do this every year where it's like they'll contend for the playoffs or the division at the last game of the season, but to actually win these games and get on to the next round is just, it seems unlikely at this point. You know, um, Aaron Rodgers, I'm on record calling him trash, and he didn't look like it tonight. And I think that says more about our defense than it does about Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. I guess kudos to him. He played his ass off tonight as well. But I mean, the Ravens just continue to come into Pittsburgh and lose in unimaginable ways, and this is just another one. Um, Tyler Loop, man, it's been a season with him. A lot of success. The deep range accuracy obviously hasn't been there. Um, but the penalties, we get the big play touchdown, to Zay Flowers, and then he immediately kicks the ball out of bounds. That's happened multiple times this season, multiple times. And I don't know if that's just he just can't aim the ball right when he's kicking it, or they're not training him right. I don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes, but I think that it's gotta stop. And with him missing this field goal, I understand that he's a rookie, and I understand that he's probably going to have a long career in the NFL. Most likely, kickers usually do. Well, honestly, kickers really, I mean, they usually don't. But if you're good, he's good enough. But this could easily destroy kickers' confidence for good. I mean, obviously, we saw Billy Cundiff miss the AFC Championship game. That would have sent us to overtime. He missed that kick, and he, got replaced immediately. But um, you know, I think that we might be in the market for a kicker again, because this could derail his career personally. And that's not me coming at his play or how talented he might or might not be, but confidence is a hell of a thing, and that just destroyed it, in my opinion, with this team. And look, I hope that Loop can bounce back and come back next year and get us to, the promised land, help us and make us make big kicks. But you're signed for this reason. I mean, he missed an extra point in Buffalo as well that ultimately got Buffalo the win. I mean, they didn't win the game because of it, but it It kind of did, in a way. If that field goal at the end of the game in Buffalo, you know, you, would have been just to tie the game. So um, this Ravens defense is just not clutch either. I'm not gonna dog on Luke the whole time because he's a rookie. Maybe he has better days ahead, but I wouldn't imagine so. This is one of those things, like that could destroy, a player, and his confidence going the rest of his career. And we can't afford that to happen to us for the rest of the next few seasons. But the defense is terrible, man. The fact that one guy goes out and you can't function speaks a lot to me. Some guys, they need to go. Marlon Humphrey, I think, needs to go. Roquan Smith, I think, needs to go. Nate Wiggins needs to bulk up a little bit, but he played a great game tonight. Malachi Starks needs either a new defensive coordinator or we need to look at getting even better safety. But I thought, maybe he played all right, but he could have had a game-changing pick earlier in the game, but that's a whole other story. Um, this we need pass rush badly. Like we need pass rush badly. And we don't have time to wait for Mike Green to develop. We need a pass rusher on this team now if we want to even think about winning the Super Bowl. I think the state of this team now, there is plenty of holes at the trench position that I don't know if can be fulfilled in one off season because they haven't even plugged any of the holes yet. Obviously the Madubuike thing is one thing, but I mean the edge rushers are god awful. They're non-existent. The trenches are non-existent. They're god awful too. I mean the offensive line. I mean Lamar, it was under duress most of the night. They locked in a little bit, but he almost got him sacked. It would have been a fourth down and 20 something if he got sacked. Um, you know, it's heartbreaking, but it's expected at this point. The way the Ravens lost, in my opinion, is very Ravens-like in the Harbaugh era. And, you know, the offense looked sluggish for two-thirds of the game or half of the game, maybe two-fourths of the game, whatever. I guess two-fourths. I'll say two-quarters of the game. They looked really sluggish, and they finally turned it on in the fourth quarter. But I mean, that's only because the season was on the line. You cannot convince me otherwise that if the season wasn't on the line, they would have did all they needed to do to win that game. Um, you know, I just am distraught. I'm heartbroken. The Ravens made plays offensively to win the damn game, and once again, they're let down by their defense. I mean, Lamar Jackson has been, it's just been an agenda used against him that, the defense, he's had some of the best defenses in the NFL or whatever. But I can guarantee you that this defense in 2 minute scenarios or less are they're probably one of the worst in the league, and you cannot convince me otherwise. You just can't. Um, and it shows. I mean, it was a slip on the play that ultimately led Calvin Austin to be wide open, but you just I don't know, man. This just can't happen, and it's happened again. This heartbreak has happened again and again and again and again, and it gets to a point where it's not a coincidence. It just needs to change. And I'm sorry if John Harbaugh is the coach of this team next year, if Zach Orr's calling plays defensively, honestly, even if Todd Monken's calling plays offensively, you're in for a lot of trouble, in my opinion. You're not going to grow from this. This can destroy, a team, Um, like Harbaugh said, we didn't do enough to close it out, but I mean, at the same token, we did. You get chances. That's the thing. You've been gifted chances you've never been gifted before. This season has been full of gifted opportunities for you, and you didn't take it. You didn't take it. You didn't win in versus the Patriots. You get embarrassed at home versus the Bengals. You get screwed out of a win. In Pittsburgh, you kind of put yourself in a position to be screwed, but it's just you just cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's madness at this point. Um, every Ravens fan I feel like is just getting driven insane with this team. Um, I don't even know what to say anymore about this team. All they are is just a heartbreak fest. I don't know if we're gonna win the Super Bowl next year. I don't even know if we're gonna be Super Bowl contenders next season. Um, and they're just gonna have to make changes, with this team. This philosophy with the trenches just has to change. I mean, I was fully expecting Lamar to get strip sacked or something on the final drive of the game, but Lamar did Lamar things and got us in the field goal range. I mean, shout out to Likely. I mean, Likely. I mean, give him his props. This season has been hell for him. I mean, this could be his last game with us, and it probably is his last game with us. And if that's his last catch, I mean, all I can do is applaud. He's been there in these moments, but he's not the guy that's rewarded for these moments. And this is what I'm talking about with the Ravens, is they don't reward these guys, like these certain guys. You have to reward Hamilton and they have to reward Jackson, but that's a given. Those are guys you have to reward. But guys like Likely, I understand Likely is, had a down season for their standards, but this catches he makes, this is what me and TJ talk about all the time. These are the catches that he makes. He made that catch on Jalen Ramsey to ultimately almost win us the game. But where was Andrews on that play? He was blocking. This guy you paid to extend for 3 years was blocking on the most important down of the season. I think that speaks volumes to how much Monk can trust Mark Andrews in these moments. Because I'm gonna make sure y'all know that Mark Andrews would have not caught that ball, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know anymore. I predicted us to lose, so I don't even know why I got too invested. I was almost right. They did score 26, but I said we'd score 20, so I almost won. This is just a quick breakdown, though. Not gonna get over stats or anything. Me and TJ will be on here eventually, talking about this game. I don't know when, sometime this week, probably. And then we're gonna talk about this off season. But I mean, this fundamentally, this team has to change. They cannot win games like this because of the way they are built. And if they keep going the same way and they keep doing it this way, the Raven way at this point, you will never see a ring, Lamar Jackson, at least not here. You know, um, I would imagine Lamar stays. I can't imagine Lamar's a guy who wants to get out of here. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, so maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I doubt it, but um, the Ravens really have to look themselves in the mirror and think, this shit needs to change. To force the Ravens offense for three straight possessions with that offensive line to go win the game is a lot to ask for, but they did it. They did it. And kudos to them all for doing their absolute damnedest to try to go out and win it. But ultimately the kick sails wide right and the season's over. You know, um I don't know. I think that shout out, Hardball, like I said, this level of insanity at this point, and honestly, EDC needs to almost be on the hot seat as well. This construction of this team is ass backwards in all seriousness. You can get all the wide receivers that you want. Doesn't matter if they can't get open or if Lord doesn't have time to throw it to them. It doesn't matter how many defensive backs you got because if there's no pressure, who gives a shit? Guys are gonna get open. Guys like Awuzie and company, they're gonna slip. Um, I have a headache. Probably every Ravens fan has a headache. Like I said, it's got to change, and it's got to change soon because Lamar Jackson is one of the most scrutinized quarterbacks in the NFL, and he proved today why he's one of the best, in my opinion. He proved today. He didn't let the interception phase himself or anybody. He went out there and he did what the fuck he needed to do because that's what he's getting paid to do, and that's what he can do. People saying that's vintage Lamar Jackson. No, that is current Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson next year. I'll make a prediction already. Lamar Jackson next year, if they do what I want them to do and invest where they need to invest, Lamar Jackson will win another MVP. It's just that simple. The offensive line wasn't even great in 2023. It was average, and look what it got you. Look what it got you. Went 13-4. You won the division. You went to the AFC Championship game. You got exposed in the AFC Championship game, but you went to the AFC Championship game. That game, it's just ever since then, it's dwindled more and more and more with the trenches and with the construction of this team. I can't even believe that they thought we were Super Bowl favorites this year. I like the way I was watching this team. I cannot believe it. Um, I don't really know if I have any other words. Any go get an offensive minded head coach. Build the trenches, please. Just please. I'm begging you at this point. Just build the trenches, man. Like I'm getting tired of seeing Lamar getting banged up. I'm getting tired of seeing Lamar get hit. Stop building this team around his legs and build it around his arm. That's what's gonna win you the fucking Super Bowl. If Lamar Jackson gets put in a game-winning scenario in the Super Bowl, he ain't gonna do it with his legs. He's gonna do it with his arm. He almost did it today with his arm. Today wasn't the Super Bowl, but it was a playoff game. I mean, I don't know. There's no reason this team shouldn't miss the playoffs, and it's just. And I know people are probably gonna say, oh, why are you talking about Harbaugh or why are you doing this? But it's truly, it's if you really look at it, if you're a true Ravens fan, you would want you would want John Harbaugh just gone. I mean, he's done a lot for this team, but it gets to a point, and I'm gonna probably look at some coaching candidates. My first one, automatically off the top of my head, is Clint Kubiak. If you get an offensive minded head coach, there is no defensive minded head coach right now that stands out to me. Maybe Brian Flores or company, but I mean, I want an offensive minded head coach. This needs to be different. It needs to be different. It should have been different. And it's going to take almost 10 years in the Lamar tenure for people to finally realize that it needs to be different. Anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about in this video is the Ravens drop the last game of the season in the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-26 and lose their chance at a three-peat of the AFC North. They will not be hosting a playoff game, obviously. Um, they did a lot this year to not get in the playoffs, but they also did just enough to get in there, and it just wasn't enough. So, but anyways, that'll be my little quick analysis of the Ravens versus Steelers game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll probably have some shorts out over the next few months up until Orioles season comes out. I don't know what else is gonna happen until then, but don't forget to subscribe to our second channel and check out our social medias and our Birds for Sports tomorrow.